Good morning, Greenstonians. It's hammer time. At our last town hall, we talked about the scorecards, and today I want to talk a little bit more about the employee development section at the bottom of the scorecards. During the town hall, I gave a number of suggestions or ideas on items that you might put on your employee development plan. But one of my personal favorite types of items to put on is reading books. It's easy to do. It's something you can do in your spare time, and it's also something that you can do via audiobooks today. So you can do it on your way to work, on an airplane, wherever is convenient. That tends to be my most popular method of listening or consuming books now, is by listening to them. But today I thought might be kind of fun. After that session, I was kind of looking at my library on my shelf and thought it'd be fun to go through some of the titles that I've personally found really good to read over the years. Many of these are classics that I like to pick up periodically and reread, and you always remind you of some good tips. So to kick it off, one of my all-time favorite books is Dale Carnegie's How to Win Friends and Influence People. The first time I read this book's been around for a long time. The first time I read that book, my reaction was, if I could just be and do everything that's in this book, that would be fantastic. Obviously, it's still very much a work in progress, but every time I read it, I get something out of it, and it reminds me of some of the traits and things that I'd like to be doing better. Another great classic book is Stephen Covey's 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. Great advice there on best use of your time. He's also written a number of other books after that, but certainly definitely great reads. This is a book that I believe I sent out to everybody in a PDF form at one point. The classic Who Moved My Cheese? This is a great book, very fast read on change and how to manage change, particularly when it impacts you. And it's kind of a fun little story. Those tend to be the books that I like the most, are ones that really kind of teach you something by telling a story versus a lot of dry content. And Ken Blanchard, one of the authors of Who Moved My Cheese, he also wrote the Raving Fans book that I talked about one time, as well as the 1 Minute Manager series. So great author, and very good at just putting something in an easy to consume story that's enjoyable and memorable. Another one is The Fish Book. This is the fish market that I talked about in one of my videos one time. There's actually a book. It's Catch the Energy and Release the Potential, and it really just talks about the fish philosophy. Another great book, What They Don't Teach You at Harvard Business School. This is an interesting. Mark McCormick, the author, goes through just a number of short little stories on real life lessons that he's learned over the years, that he never got taught in business school. So interesting. And then finally, 2 great books, Jim Collins' Good to Great, and the follow-up book of Built to Last. These books really talk about what makes organizations go from being good organizations to great organizations. That's really in the first book of Good to Great, and then the follow-up is really about how do they sustain greatness over time. A lot of recognizable names in these books. I'm talking about real life examples. So that's I think a really good series. But whatever you choose to read, make sure it's something that's interesting to you. It doesn't have to be directly relevant to what your job is. A lot of these things are really just personal development, whether it's working on communications, whether it's working on sales techniques. There's so many books out there that you can read that I definitely think you get a lot out of. So, before you sit down in front of the TV and watch the next episodes of Game of Thrones or Big Bang Theory or whatever your show of choice is, think about picking up a book and investing a little bit in yourself. So, until next episode, have a great week.